The birthday boy. The birthday boy gets the winner in overtime. The Oilers pull it off in Detroit. 3-2. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show. Live on location. Boston Pizza, Westgate. We had a great turnout here for a Sunday afternoon Oilers game just off of 170th Street, 90th Avenue. Big thank you to Curtis and Tony and the fantastic crew. Malaysia for being our model for the giveaways. Great prizes here, and it ends well for all the orange and blue faithful as the Oil get the win to kick off a 4-game road trip. We're going to go through all of it, of course. Get your input, 780-218-9999. And then if you're watching on YouTube, text us as well on the Nasty Chatter. Get your piece of conversation in on the Nasty Chat. As always, Hernan Salas back at ESTHQ. Matt Kassian, our game analyst, will be joining us a little bit later on. And then, DVD's here from NHL.com. He'll pop by for 5 or 10 minutes as well. But he said he really wants to watch the Dallas Cowboys game. Okay. Nanso, before we dive right into the scoring summary and the turning point and all of that, I need to mention that providers of the best diesel engine components around is GCL Diesel. From turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors, they are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. What would you say about that as a whole, Hernan?
Yeah, slow start, but yes. Edmonton took over. Edmonton was all over him in the third. I think very well-deserved victory. It's too bad they couldn't finish it in regulation, but I'm not going to nitpick right now. I thought it was an excellent bounce back after a pretty listen, I don't think they were terrible in the first period, Tom, but they weren't good moments. They weren't good. No, by no stretch.
Their second shot was like 14 minutes in.
Exactly. Yeah. So Pickard with a big save to keep it at 1-0. They're able to battle and find their game. And then I know I'm one that says I hate it, and I know a lot of people hate it, but he went nuclear. That's Coach K, and it worked because the big three were awesome tonight, Tommy. And kudos to the Edmonton Oilers that fought back. It's always tough flying out, playing in for us, afternoon, for them, early evening game. And it's something to build on for sure. And like I said in the pregame, you get this one, you go into Columbus, you can bank another 2 points. It won't be easy because they struggle in that barn, but this was big. And the birthday boy, like you said, showed up. And I'll give kudos to Calvin Pickard. I thought he was solid throughout this game. Absolutely. And there's a few things I know we're going to dissect, Tom. There's some things we didn't like about the game, but all in all, you got to be happy with the victory tonight.
A win's a win against an Eastern Conference opponent. Yeah, you leak away a point, but it's a bonus point to a team that's not even in your conference. So I think most people will be okay with that. They'll look at this and say, all right, they've got 2 in a row. Was it against the 2 strongest teams in the East or even the league? No, it wasn't. But they managed to get it done, faced a little bit of adversity. Yeah. The slow start, like you said, and maybe it gives them a little bit more mojo going into tomorrow night's game in Columbus. All right, let's get to the game story with the scoring summary and the game stats, and then we're going to dip into the inbox, and then, of course, the Nasty Chat, see what everybody's thinking as the Oilers get the win in Detroit. 780-218-9999. Text us if you're listening on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, or Apple Music, or, of course, on the EdmontonSportsTalk.com stream. And to those watching, Nasty Chat is your spot. Let's go into it in the first period. It was Detroit opening things up. Just 3:28 in. JT Compher making it 1-0, his third of the year, from Patrick Kane and Andrew Kopp. The Oilers, like Hernan mentioned, slow, sluggish. It looked like they were the team that played last night in Buffalo, not the Detroit Red Wings. The Wings had the jump early on and took advantage with that 1-0 lead, which they carried into the middle frame. However, Leon Draisaitl, birthday boy, scores his 5th of the season from Connor McDavid and Evan Bouchard to even things up at 8:46. But it would be Detroit answering right back. Andrew Kopp, his 4th of the season, 2nd point of the night from Jeff Petrie and Patrick Kane. Nice redirection there by Kopp. You see Calvin Pickard say, no, high stick. No, it was good. And the Wings restore their lead, and they take it into the third period. And in that final frame, midway through at 10:47, it was Evan Bouchard scoring his third on the one-timer with the assist to Leon Draisaitl. Secondary assist going to Matthias Ekholm, so Draisaitl put together a happy birthday for himself. And then he blows out the birthday cake as he scores his second of the night, sixth of the season in overtime. Ekholm with the pass. McDavid with the first pass over to Ekholm. Ekholm slides it under the stick of the defender. Draisaitl on the backhand reluctantly tucks it home. I'm kidding. He was happy to put it home past Cam Talbot. That one coming just 18 seconds into overtime. Shots on goal in this one. The Oilers outshoot the Red Wings 33-27. The Wings dominate the faceoff dot tonight. 62.1% to 37.9. Power play. We're going to talk about it with Cass. Didn't really get much going again. 0 for 2. The PK goes 1 for 1. There goes Rip City Step. Great to have him down here at BP Westgate. I see the Combine crew. And it wasn't a Cam Talbot jersey that Norm was wearing. It's a Steve McIntyre orange Oilers jersey. All right, where was I? The power play, 0 for 2. The PK, 1 for 1. Baby steps. Hits, 23-11 in favor of the Red Wings. Block shots, 21 for Detroit, 14 for Edmonton. Giveaways, 18 for Edmonton, 11 for Detroit. Officially, Hernan, 1 takeaway each.
Wow. Sure. Let's roll with that.
Sure.
So
I guess
I'm going to bring you in. I just heard the door open here in the studios. Freaked me the hell out because I'm the only one here.
Well, who was it?
It was Matty.
What happened? What's Matty doing there?
I don't know. He's dropping some stuff off, I think. No. But that creeped me out. So if I had a scared face there for a couple seconds, that was it.
Save it for the draft tomorrow. There goes Norm. Norm, where's your hat? Very good. He won a hat tonight. Let's go.
Yes.
Combine crew bringing it every time. Thanks, guys, for coming out. Great time here at BP
you guys
Westgate.
Gave away today. Awesome stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that golf simulator is awesome, Tom.
Yeah, well, Curtis, the owner, he's hitting it right now, and that's what I need to remind folks that if you do come down to BP Westgate, they have installed a golf simulator in the lounge. It's fantastic. Curtis, it was his birthday yesterday, so happy birthday to him. And they're celebrating the Oilers' victory, watching some Sunday Night Football. He broke a club, Hernan, after you left in his backswing, or he hit it flush and it snapped and went flying back across the floor, across the entire lounge. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, good thing we got insurance for this thing. But nobody got hurt. They also have 6 o'clocker logger. The golf sim, you'll notice if you're watching on YouTube, there is the QR code on the right-hand side. If you hit that QR code with your camera, it will take you to the golf sim scheduling page so you can book your reservation. $20 an hour. Honestly, probably the best rate in the city that I've seen so far without any deals or discounts or anything like that. So they have one here, BP Westgate. They just refreshed the whole lounge. Tony and the crew and Curtis, absolutely tremendous. All right, let's get to some texts. And then when Cass is ready, we'll get to the turning point. And away we go as the Oilers win it 3-2 in overtime over the Red Wings to kick off a 4-game road trip. Let's go to Bronx, the Boilermaker, who says, I can't complain about Perry signing these days, Bronx, the Boilermaker. Nanso, what do you think about that? Because it wasn't really happening for the Oilers in the first period. We talk about the lack of shots, and we talk about how it didn't seem like they were the team that had the rest. It seemed like Detroit had the jump, even though Detroit had played last night in Buffalo. Perry gets in a fight with Joe Veleno, and there seems to be this pattern here where we see a fight, and this team wakes up. Am I crazy or something?
No, you're not. And how many times we've seen this already this year, Tom? We were talking
3 or 4?
About, the Oilers got to be up there in fighting major so far because they're a feisty group. And good on Corey Perry. And listen, I know we've talked about this where when he signed, people were like, well, why did you sign him so quick? There was no need and all that. But you've seen his value now. He's healthy. He's feeling good. And I think he's been, for me, like throughout the season, he's been in the top 5 forwards for me. He's always engaged. He's always doing something, dropping the mitts or crashing the net or creating a ruckus out there. And he has the skill. I think people forget because he's older now and he plays a lesser role to what he was in Anaheim. I think for me, guys, I think you see the skill still with this guy, and he's bringing it. And I like Podkolzin tonight too. I thought he was good. Arvidsson,
that line was good
again.
Yeah.
There was a lot of good forwards today for the Edmonton Oilers. So yeah, for me, Corey Perry, man, you're not going to get any complaints from me.
No points for Perry. Even picks up the fight, 11:26 time on ice, and adds in a giveaway. So not really the sexy stuff when it comes to his box score numbers, but it was the battle, the dragging his group into it with that fight, and I think that woke up the bench a little bit and got the team going. All right, what say you? 780-218-9999. Podkolzin, Arvidsson, and Draisaitl pleasantly surprised again tonight?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, you were talking about Podkolzin, Hernan? Yep.
Yeah, and there was even a shift after that. I think he was on with Nuge, and it could have been Arvidsson when they went nuclear there in the third period. And they had a really good shift there. I think they hemmed him in for 1:25. It was just solid. So it's good to see Podkolzin finding his groove, because then that's just going to push other guys. Right now, everybody's trying to get into that top six. Not even the top six. Everybody's just trying to fight for that ice time, because you saw some guys that don't usually get the ice time get more tonight. So I was very impressed after 20 minutes with the Oilers forward group.
They woke up. They definitely woke up. All right, let's get to some more texts here. 780-218-9999. Mike in Thunder Bay chiming in, says, on Leon's birthday, he gave us all the gift of an Oilers win. Oilers look terrible for large chunks of the game, but it feels good to squeak out another win. Way better than 2-9-1. Yes, they're well ahead of last year's pace at 4-4-1. And I think I saw some stranger in the nasty chat who said, so are 500 now? Yes, but technically no, because they have that one OTL. So 4-4-1 on the season are the Edmonton Oilers. A couple more texts really quickly to get to before we bring in Matt Kassian, our game analyst. Atif sending in videos. My goodness, Atif. Happy birthday to King Leon, says Atif. Great weekend. Elks, Oilers, Dodgers win. And the only thing bad about this weekend is my New Orleans Saints can't get their poop together. Great win, Oilers. They can't get their together, Atif. That's too bad. And we saw a brouhaha between the 49ers and the Cowboys about a minute ago on the field as Sunday Night Football is underway. Last text before we bring in Matt Kassian and get to the turning point of the game. Shaggy in St. Albert. Shaggy says, McDavid has been downright below average since season started. Is it married life? Oh, Shaggy. Oilers have made every goalie they face look good. Back to Oilers' signature, not showing up for start of game, playing a team that is coming off a game last night. 3 games in 4 nights, Shaggy says about the Wings. Pickard kept them in the game. Story of the season. Blown offensive chances. Lucky win. Closer than it should have been. Get a lot of shots, but don't score like they should. Yeah, I understand a lot of those points. Shaggy in St. Albert is a fan of the team that demands a lot and has a high expectation for this group. So I have learned that about Shaggy.
And Tom, you heard
St. Albert.
You heard on the broadcast, Jack and Louis say that legendary broadcaster in Detroit went into their room after the first intermission and said that was the best period Detroit has played this year. So I mean, sometimes you have to give kudos to the other team. They were good in the first period.
You said it on the pregame show. You reiterated that you're getting everybody's fastball now.
Yeah.
Right? You're not getting a night off from any team. And Detroit brought it, and they made life difficult. And the Oilers, listen, to Shaggy and St. Albert's point, because I agree with him, there were some plays tonight where I looked at the Combine crew and Rip City Step and the other fans that were here at BP Westgate, and I was like, man, they're just shooting themselves in the foot with dumb, backhand passes, behind the back passes, little flips to nobody. I thought Evan Bouchard was guilty of it a lot tonight. So I saw it. I know what Shaggy's alluding to, but I'm not going to be as severely harsh on them because a win's a win, and they're well ahead of their pace at this time last year. And I'd like to remind myself of that. Okay, Cass is standing by, so let's get to the turning point of the game presented by Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy. At Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy, we treat you like the pros. Our multidisciplinary team includes sports medicine physicians, along with highly skilled physiotherapists, strength and conditioning coaches, and massage therapists. Whether you're recovering from an injury or looking to enhance performance, we treat you like a pro using the same locker room approach trusted by the best in the game. Tonight's turning point of the game, as I may, is going to be in the third period. The Oilers pressing, trying to get that equalizer, had kind of taken over when it came to possession, and they were getting the majority of the shots and really, forcing Detroit to bend, and then they finally get them to break on the Evan Bouchard one-timer, his third of the season from Draisaitl and Ekholm. It was at that point where I was like, okay, they're not out of the woods yet, but I felt like they seemed to put themselves in a good place mentally, and I wasn't that concerned and didn't think they were going to lose with how they were starting to carry the play. It looked like that goal gave them a little bit of confidence, and that's all they needed to put away a Detroit team that did play last night and did fade a little bit when the Oilers also opened the door to Detroit to walk in and get some opportunities on Calvin Pickard, who I thought was really good. But the turning point will be Evan Bouchard's third of the year, getting the equalizer at 10:47 of the third period. Draisaitl and Ekholm, the helpers on that one. There's your turning point of the game, brought to you by Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy. Let's bring him in. He's our game analyst. He's Matt Kassian, and he's ready to break down the Oilers' 3-2 OT victory over the Detroit Red Wings. Cass, I was kind of talking about there, like that third period, like you could tell the Oilers were flexing on the Wings a bit. Is it more so Edmonton picking up its game or Detroit's, stamina slipping a little bit after playing last night? How would you compare and contrast that?
He's muted.
Cass, you're muted again.
I don't
know. No. All right, we'll get Cass back. We had this happen on the pregame show as well.
Last time I did absolutely nothing, and it just came back. So,
Cass, quit breaking stuff, all right? Let's go to a couple of texts. Joel says, it was pretty boring. I was nodding, and my mind's still in playoff mode.
Give me this.
Joel, I get it. Coach Mike texting in, is there a method to the madness of constantly going back to 29 and 97 on the same line? Every Oilers coach has done it. Great game, though. Oilers stuck with it after having a slow start. That from Coach Mike. I think I can give my opinion on that one, Coach Mike. I think the temptation to go to McDavid and Draisaitl will always be there. Every team, especially ones that have had and have like two superstar caliber players, they stack them up all the time anyway. So I don't think this is going to go away. Now, for the majority of the game, if they're sticking to having them on their own separate lines, I think that's the best method and has seemed to be for the most part. I know there's the nuclear option that we've seen early in the season, but I think that temptation is always going to be there, regardless of which coach comes in. And I don't think it's ever going to go away when those two are on the same team for the remainder of their time together in Edmonton, because I don't think they're going to go elsewhere at all. But I'll get Cass's take on that one. Hernan, do you want to chime in on that one?
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
I'm here.
Hello.
Yeah, guys, that's 2 times in a row. I don't know what's going on. Seem to have to restart everything really quickly. So, yeah, to your point that you were making, Tom, I would agree again with Evan Bouchard being that goal's. I don't even say that quite as a turning point. I think surviving the first period being down only a goal. If I was going to peg something. Point? That'd be my turning point, where Detroit really did seem to come out of the gate swinging, had a lot of jump, and Edmonton with not much. Wasn't a great start to their game. Pickard makes some saves, keeps them in it, allows them basically to keep the game within reach. And give them that chance to claw back into it. And it really did feel really right from the start of the second period, like Edmonton started to build that momentum, like they worked their way into that game, started to get a lot more ozone time, started to actually get some opportunities and pucks to the net. And just really worked their way back into it. So it wasn't a perfect game by any stretch, and took a little bit longer than they'd like. But hey, it's not a division opponent, so you don't mind giving them the loser point. You end up winning the hockey game. But yeah, slow start. I would say the play of Calvin Pickard to me, and getting them through that first period, and holding on at that point and keeping the game close, to me is the turning point.
I'm totally with you on that. Like that one save Pickard made, I think it was in the second period where he went, it was a cross-ice pass across Royal Road, like we like to say, and he slid across, and the nice kick save on that. I really thought to myself, I'm like, all right, he's dialed in. First of all, I didn't love the defensive zone coverage on the first goal. And then the second one, nice redirection by Kopp. Like, we should talk about that because Shaggy in St. Albert had his criticisms for the team. And Shaggy, like I said, holds his team to a high standard. We've come to learn that from Shaggy in St. Albert. He said, McDavid downright below average since it started. He kind of took a crack at married life. Shaggy added, Oilers have made every goalie they have faced look good. Back to Oilers' signature not showing up for start of game, playing a team that's coming off a game last night, 3-4 for Detroit. Pickard kept them in the game, story of the season, blown offensive chances, lucky win, closer than it should have been. Got a lot of shots, but didn't score like they should. What would you say to Shaggy's critiques of the game tonight?
Well, there's a lot there. I think at times they were a little perimeter. I would say from some of the shots they were perimeter. Did they get a little lucky? Well, yeah, they got some goaltending in the first. They should have been down probably about more than one through the first period. D-zone coverage, they had mistakes again. Now starts off that face-off, that first goal where you have possession. It's a one draw, and Kulak overhandles the puck and turns it over. So you have full possession. Yeah. Worst case scenario, you should turn that into a 50-50 battle, right? Like where you're not giving up possession, everyone can kind of recover because everyone thinks, hey, we got to go on offense. We have the puck here. And Kulak just fumbles with it. Now, Darnell Nurse probably reads to the outside on that play instead of the inside. Now he's coming from that direction, so I understand the thought that you're going to step in there. So he's really, it's a matter of being a foot away. He is a foot away from where he needs to be. Your wingers are coming back because again, they view you as having possession. You have possession, so the play in that instance is going to be to push the pace, to drive back. So you're trying to come back to get into position. So it's a little bit of a blown coverage, starting from a bad play from Kulak where he just fumbles the puck and turns it over. And the puck's in the back of your net. So again, a few things happen. Kulak turns it over. Darnell Nurse reads the outside. Arvidsson is thinking breakout, so he's a little bit late getting back to cover the front of the net. So you kind of have three things that happen in that. But beyond that, it wasn't like their defensive coverage was absolutely atrocious. It wasn't great in the first period. I would just say that first period was a significant lack of execution, and their Red Wings were jumping. They had a lot of energy. They were moving their feet, and Edmonton was a little bit sluggish and then just kind of fumbled the puck, and weren't clean. Now they stepped up in the second period. So I would disagree with Shaggy in that it was a lucky win. I think, again, they did just enough to hold on until they worked their way into the game, and then they managed to, I think, for the second two periods, for the second and the third, really outplay and outchance Detroit over that period of time, and they deserve to win the game, even if it did take a little bit longer than they probably would have hoped for.
7-8-0. Sorry, go ahead, Hernan. Yeah, go ahead.
Cass, I just wanted to ask you, we were watching Evan Bouchard, Tommy, and DVD, and again, we know how he's kind of he's got that nonchalant kind of body language, but there was a few.
Very nice of you.
There was a few plays today where you just want that urgency, Cass. It's just something Oiler fans are going to have to live with this guy because he gets himself in trouble because I just feel it's a lack of urgency. That's it, because he's a smart player, and then right when we're talking about him, he goes and scores a goal. So you're like, you see his value, but you also see where you just want a little bit more from this guy.
Yep, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Like you're gonna give up that in the defensive zone on occasion for what it brings you in the offensive zone, because his poise and his patience with the puck in the offensive zone opens up a ton. Now the difference in the defensive zone, and I've said this before, but for anyone maybe you haven't heard me say it or you want to hear it again, just as a reminder, people defend differently when they're forechecking. So in the offensive zone, they defend differently than the defensive zone, because you can be way more aggressive in a lot of cases. Because if you make a mistake, the puck's not instantly in the back of your net, right? Like you have time to recover. You have other players in between the puck and the net. Like a lot of other things have to happen. And so for Evan Bouchard, that same patience where players really have to respect offensively what he does, wait that extra second, and where he'll wait guys out and he'll hold on to the puck, and you just, on occasion, in the defensive zone, when you do that, you're going to turn it over. guys are just going to check you differently in that zone than when you have the puck in the offensive zone. And so those turnovers on occasion are going to happen, but it's the type of thing you're going to live with because of what you get in the offensive zone. So yes, at times the nonchalantness, and for myself as well, sometimes it drives you absolutely nuts. And I'm sure it drives the coaching staff nuts at times, but you know what you're getting on the other end of the ice, and you live with it, because generally speaking, now not when he's not playing well, like when he's playing terrible, you're like, oh, you just, all you want is the urgency in the defensive zone because you're like, nothing's going right. But you have to consistently remind yourself that, yeah, sometimes you're going to give that up for what he's bringing in the other end. And you saw that today. Walks in and blasts one, scores a huge goal that ties the game in the third period, that enables you to get the point, to go to overtime and ultimately win the hockey game early in overtime because of it. So you know what, as much as you may hate to hear it, Hernan, you just got to deal with it, because that's Evan Bouchard and you're not coaching that out of him.
Yeah, no. And that's what I'm saying, because you see it a lot from fans on Twitter and in our inbox, like, man, like this guy needs, but it's just, and I agree with you, where you're going to take more of the good and you're going to let that slide because of all the good he brings, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. It's risk and reward, guys. Risk and reward.
He's a perpetually slow starter. I think it's safe to say that all 3 seasons now he's gotten off to slow starts, and then it incrementally gets better and better and better, and then he just he fires up, and by the end of the year, he's generally good in his own zone, a little more aggressive. It looks like the engine's moving a little quicker, and it's working a little harder, and then the offense usually is in full swing by the end of the season. He's just done it in multiple seasons now, and I think, shortening that slow start, maybe we're starting to see that a little bit, Cass, even though, like you said, that's how he looks out of the gates. That's what we saw tonight, but then totally redeems himself in the offensive zone and picking up a couple of points. All right, I wanted to bounce this one off of you. It was from Coach Mike Cass. Coach Mike texted into the inbox, 780-218-9999. He said, is there a method to the madness of constantly going back to 29 and 97 on the same line? Every Oilers coach has done it. Great game, though. Oilers stuck with it after having a slow start. Signed, Coach Mike Cass. Your opinion on this one? I know we've chatted about this, but what would you tell Coach Mike tonight?
Well, they're 2 of the best players in the world, so occasionally throwing them together, you have the chance to generate offense and ozone time. And I prefer when the coaches use it situationally. If you're using it at the end of the period or at the end of the game, not running every shift with that, but having it in your arsenal, being able to do it occasionally, maybe after a penalty kill, if they haven't been on the ice, to load the line up, because generally you're getting third line or fourth line players on the other team that are coming out after their power play, so you have the chance at a mismatch. So you're gonna go to it. Now, they also like playing together, so there's an element of that as well, where you're keeping them happy by occasionally giving them shifts together. Like, it's just, they like playing with one another because they're 2 of the best players in the world, and they have good chemistry when they play, and they know that. Now, again, it's not how you want to load up your lines all the time, but you're going to go to it on occasion. And tonight, I don't know how many shifts they had. It wasn't every single shift. It was just on occasion that they did that. Yeah. And you're going to see that all year. I mean, it's just, you're going to do that as a coach. You have that option. You don't necessarily want to do it all the time, but on occasion, you're going to run with it.
Cass, you're not. Sorry, Tom.
Oh, I was just going to say, other teams do it with their superstar players.
Yep.
Pardon me. Sorry. Go ahead, Nanso.
Cass, would you start with that nuclear line, or do you just let it simmer and go back to what you had today? Because you're probably going to have a better start, that you had today, but you would just roll the way they were rolling tonight? To start, I mean?
I would like to think that's what they're going to do. Now, they're going to talk about their start. They're going to talk about how they need to be better early in the game, how they need to be engaged right away. They can't wait to the second period to wake up. But, yeah, you don't. It is, even, from a matchup standpoint, I think, you're not necessarily going to want to load up against the Blue Jackets. They don't have a ton of depth offensively. Spreading out a little bit, I think, is ideal. And we have seen some good things when, it is Draisaitl, Arvidsson. They seem to have started to develop some chemistry. And so, again, I don't think it's something you're going to throw to right away to go to the nuclear option. You can, work Podkolzin in and with Draisaitl and Arvidsson and let McDavid roll. You're still trying to get Hyman really going here. But, I think you go back to the lines at the start of the game and you don't you don't roll the nuclear option to start.
All right, I want to get to this one, Cass. It's from JCD780. Interesting point. It's a statement, but I feel like I have a hunch where you might go with it. JCD780 texts in, says 4-0 in games with a fight, 0-4-1 in games with no fights. We see Perry get it going with Veleno. I think Veleno caught Hyman, was it? A little bit high with the hit. And then Perry steps up, gives him a fight. And then it seemed like a little bit of oomph to the Oilers after that. What would you glean from what Perry was able to provide with that fight, if anything? Because there's some people would be like, what are you guys talking about? The fight didn't do anything. But I disagree with that. I want to know what you think.
Well, I think the Darnell Nurse fight was towards the end of the game. They were already winning that hockey game, so we can kind of scratch that. But let's say 3-0 in ones where the fight happened during the game, and probably two of those, the fight created some pop. It created some pop. Now, I've always said, and I've never done it because it's way too much work, but I'd be interested if you look back like the last 15 years on the number of times a team, like your percentage chance of scoring in 5 minutes, like while the guy's in the box, like the 5 minutes after a fight, the team that's losing, their chance of scoring in that. I wonder what the percentage would be. And it'd be pretty hard to run some of those stats, but it seems to, for this group, you shock them awake a little bit. And I know we talked about, and I said turning point is them getting through the first period, being down only a goal, but you also probably could point to that fight and say that had something to do with it as well. Now, Corey Perry, a guy that's been around, he's seen momentum shifts in games, he's seen what fights can do in games, and as a veteran, older guy that plays a little bit more of a chippy game than I guess he's still used to play a chippy game, but he's not as offensive as he used to be, but recognizes a situation where this team doesn't have some legs and says, you know what, here's an opportunity to try to get in a scrap with a guy that maybe took a little bit of a high shot at one of my teammates and get everyone into it. And it's a part of turning that momentum and getting the team going. So it's not the sole reason they won, but does it factor into that energy on the bench? Yeah, absolutely it does. Does it engage guys? Absolutely it does. If you don't agree, I will fight you. Not actually, but
love it.
Okay, Cass threatening people that he's going to fight them on the post. I didn't have that on my bingo card tonight, but I love it.
No.
I'll follow this up and I'll put it out to both of you. And Cass, great answer, obviously. Does it have to be Corey Perry? Should it be Corey Perry doing that for the Oilers? Do they need to go out and try to find somebody else? And I asked that because it was brought up in the conversation here at the BP Lounge at Westgate tonight.
Yeah, well, I mean, in a perfect scenario, you're not going to have to because you're not starting slow, right? Like, and that's kind of where some of those go for. Now, we've seen some willingness from some of the guys, and they have guys that'll scrap. Should it be Corey Perry? Well, he's one of the scrappier guys that, you're not going to have McDavid doing it. You're not going to have Draisaitl or Hyman doing it. You're not going to have Nuge doing it. So, he's going to be one of the guys that's going to do it. Do I think that they're going to run statistically at the same number of fights they've had so far? No, probably not. Probably not. But they have been a team thus far that has either had some slow starts like tonight, or they have struggled inside of the games. And so they're looking for things to spark it, where you just have a little bit more. Do they need to go and find someone like a McEwen or someone like that? No, I don't think they do. Right. You don't need to be a team that's going to lead the league in fights. I don't think the Edmonton Oilers have to do that. It should be very situational. But the reality is the situation, the last little bit is called for it. But do they need to go find someone? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm with Cass. I just think the way the game's going, a lot of the guys that are dropping the mitts, like you look at Vancouver, like JT Miller will do it from time to time. You got some of their top-notch guys, right? And Corey Perry, bottom six guy, and he's been very good. He's been one of my top forwards so far this season, and he's willing to do it. And I think once you get Evander Kane back, guys, he's another guy that's probably going to ease into it. He's not going to go right back after the 3 surgeries he had. But, yeah, I just don't think you need to go out and get a bona fide tough guy. I think you can do it as a team. And circumstance so far for the Oilers, right, guys? Like, this is not a team that's going to be fighting their way through the season. At least we hope not.
Oh, no, probably not.
But so I think they're
fair
fine.
Assessment.
Would you need another guy? You don't want Darnell Nurse doing it, but he's also willing to. So once Kane's back, I think you'll be all right. And then who knows what they pick up at the deadline as well.
Brandon from Windsor says 100% it should be Corey Perry. He only plays 7 minutes a night. You might as well do something useful. I thought that was a funny response. Perry tonight, though, like I mentioned, read a stat line. 11-26 tonight with that fight and one giveaway. On the night, as the Oilers win at 3-2 in OT over the Detroit Red Wings, Leon Draisaitl 3-point night, including the game-winning goal. Cake has 2 more texts. Then I want to get the look ahead to tomorrow as we roll on here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show live at Boston Pizza Westgate, 170th Street, 90th Ave, across the street from West Edmonton Mall. This text came in from Sask Bill. Yes, Sask Bill text. Too many rims from the defense. You can't win the transition game with a rim as your outlet pass. Nobby can't resist 97 and 29 together. I'm bitching, but was a big win. Go Oil. The rims from the defense, I'm with Sask Bill on that.
Absolutely.
One. Yeah.
Absolutely, Tommy. I mean, that's not how you create offense. Rims generally are a hope and a prayer when you have nothing else. You don't have a direct pass you can make. You're under pressure and you're like, I'm going to pass off my problem to somebody else. That really is what it is. It's like, I'm going to fire it up here and hope something good happens, because generally speaking, really hard to pick up pucks cleanly and make offensive plays. Like, you might be able to get it out of the zone. You might be able to chip it to a centerman, but usually you're not moving as a group all forward with clean possession to generate offense off the rush. So yeah, no, too many rims, and that is a problem from the defensive group. And when they struggle, that's usually what's happening, right? You see the rims, and it's just a hope and a prayer that you get the puck out of the zone versus having good controlled zone exits.
All right, Cass, one more text for you, and then we look ahead to Columbus tomorrow. This one from Jason says, I know it's frustrating to watch sometimes, but how many teams play a full 60 minutes consistently? It can't be that easy to do. I know we ask teams to do it, Cass. We talk about the Oilers trying to do it. How would you answer Jason in this scenario?
Well, no one has ever played an absolutely perfect hockey game. Now, there's games that have come close, but there's even inside of games where you win 8-0, you still have made a mistake somewhere in the game. It is not a perfect game. Never will be a game. And there's going to be ebbs and flows to most games. Even games when you're playing really well, there's ebbs and flows. Like, you're not going to play all 60 minutes, the entirety of it, in the neutral zone and the offensive zone. Now, you want to spend more time in the offensive zone than the defensive zone, but you are going to have shifts where other teams play. Like, other teams are going to do things well, which means sometimes they're going to beat you. They're going to make a play. They're going to do something right. Now, but what good teams do is they really limit the number of times in games that happens, right? So it's not letting things compound, right? It's if you have one shift where the other team is taking it to you, they have possession, they have some opportunity, you're able to rebound and then follow it up with a better shift where you're not in your zone, you're not scrambling, you're able to maybe get a shot or some offensive opportunity yourself. It's about stopping the bleeding early whenever it happens, because you're going to get nicked, you're going to get cut, things are going to happen. It's about being able to counterpunch and not getting trapped in your own zone and just letting momentum steamroll you into submission. So when we look in even that Pittsburgh game, there were still moments. Stuart Skinner still had to make saves.
Yes.
There was still opportunity for Pittsburgh, and we would still look at that and say, well, that was the most complete game they've played. And it really was, but there were still moments inside of that. Now, a game like today, it was a full 20 minutes, really, where they weren't able to accomplish anything, and that's not, at the start of a hockey game, it's not what you want. You don't want to be on your heels for a full 20 minutes. Now, even really good teams, there's going to be periods where that happens. And generally speaking, that's when the phrase that we throw around in the cliche is bend but not break, right? Where you sag a little bit, the other team's got some momentum, but you hold on and you do just enough to be able to get through and be able at some point to have someone that steps up and changes the momentum. And that's kind of what we saw today. Now, that guy maybe was Pickard in the first, allowing them to hold on and keep the game within reach. But yeah, I mean, listen, that's part of hockey. That's part of games. It's part of momentum. It's part of the season. You're going to have those ebbs and flows inside most games.
Cass, the Columbus Blue Jackets tomorrow night become the focus for the Edmonton Oilers. The Jackets coming off a loss yesterday in OT. That one in Nashville, 4-3 final. They're 3-3-1 on the season. Obviously, the heartbreak of Johnny Gaudreau's passing, and that's going to obviously hang over the team and the National Hockey League. But Edmonton goes in there tomorrow. This is going to be an Oilers team playing on the second night of back-to-backs with travel. How do you look at it from an Oilers standpoint?
Well, we'll go completely cliche, is you got to keep it simple. And as I can't remember who it was that just texted, even though we just went through that, but no rims, right? Like make direct passes, clean exits, spend less time in the defensive zone. Now it's early in the season. You still should have lots of energy. And I know it's some travel, but it's not like it's 3 hours in a time zone that's 3 hours away, like, or a 5-hour flight to a time zone that's 3 hours. Like you should be okay here. It's an early night as well. It's not like you're going to be getting to bed at 4 a.m. here. Good point. I don't think the energy, argument really stands. So now if you do feel it in your legs a little bit of a back-to-back here, well, simplify, right? Simplify, try to run up and down the lineup so that everyone can get involved. You can play your fourth line guys. And the big thing in games like that, Tommy, is don't be chasing. Don't be chasing. Yeah. When you're back-to-back games, you know that first goal is always hugely important. But even more so in games when you are in back-to-back, because you want to be in the driver's seat. You don't want to be having to really force things, and you don't want to be chasing a hockey game.
Cass, articulate, well said. Great haircut. You can set your watch to that haircut. Fantastic work, as always, my friend.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay. Kale, see you tomorrow. Yes, there you go, Matt Kassian, our game analyst, helping us break down the Oilers 3-2 win overtime.
Bye, Cass.
For the Oil over the Red Wings. Text us 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. It is a GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show, live on location at Boston Pizza Westgate. We had a great crew down here. Sunday Night Football going on right now between the Cowboys and the 49ers. Hernan's 49ers and DVD Derek Van Diest from NHL.com's Cowboys. DVD will stop by to join us and discuss for a couple of minutes. When he comes here, when we're on location, we're like, well, you may as well go do something and join the conversation a little bit. But before we do that, Nanso, we do need to get to the Damon Bunting Remax Elite Player of the Game. Damon Bunting is a consistent top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Western Canadian RE/MAX realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. He's usually the player of the game whenever it comes to buying or selling homes. But Hernan, who is the Damon Bunting RE/MAX Elite Player of the Game, and why, sir?
Yeah, I got it pretty easy tonight, Tommy. It's going to be the birthday boy, Leon Draisaitl. 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points, +1, 21-10 time on ice. And he also, let's see here, 7 shots and 1 block. So Leon Draisaitl on his birthday with a big, big game. And it was his goal, that the bounce off Ollie Mata, which goes back to if you put pucks on net, good things could happen. And then in OT, they finish it pretty damn early. But Leon's finding his game. He's been good. He was good last game. He kind of broke it open last Friday against Pittsburgh, and he's finding his groove. And I know we're getting a lot of text about McDavid being kind of slow, and he's not up to speed yet. But just imagine when he is, because Draisaitl's finding his game, Arvidsson's finding his game, Skinner, Perry, and those guys have already been there, and they're doing well still. Podkolzin's coming along, so look out when Mr. McDavid gets going. And then Hyman, Nuge, Tommy, there's still some boys here on the Edmonton Oilers that if they're going to break soon, right?
I know, but we saw Nugent Hopkins score a nice goal the other night, but Hyman, when he got that puck in deep and he tried to bring it from his backhand to his forehand and try to shovel it up on Talbot, and Talbot just kind of slid over and blocked it. I was I'm worried that I do think he's feeling it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In not a good way, where he's gripping the stick too tight and it's starting to get to him. And when that play happened, I was it didn't have the finesse and touch. He just trying to muck it in there, and he needs one of those to just go in.
And
then maybe it breaks that mental wall, and then he's okay and he's off and running. He's going to get 54 again this year, probably not. We're 9 games in. He doesn't have a goal yet. He could still get 30. He can get hot. He's capable. We've seen him do it, and he's still getting those chances, Hernan.
Oh, 100% he is. Yeah, there's a few players I don't worry about, but you can see the frustration, Tom. There is frustration.
Yeah, that's true.
There. And that's obviously you'd be frustrated if you're not being able to contribute to your job or anything like that. But yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how these guys can eventually get going here. And I think they will. It's only a matter of time.
I'm with you on that. At least he's getting those opportunities and working for them. All right, keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. Like I mentioned, Tom Gazzola live on location at Boston Pizza Westgate. And if you're going, which one's that, Tom? Well, it's 170th Street and 90th Ave, right across the street from West Edmonton Mall. They've just refreshed, remodeled, and updated the lounge. And I think the restaurant side as well. They've added a golf simulator inside the lounge. Owner Curtis was playing it, and he busted a club earlier in the day while we were watching the game. Thing went flying across the lounge, and nobody got hurt, so we're all good. But $20 an hour at the simulator, and you'll see that QR code on your screen rotating with the Boston Pizza logo. That QR code, if you scan it, it'll take you to the booking site for the BP Lounge here at Westgate Golf Sim. And that's the best rate I've seen in the city thus far, $20 an hour. Plus you got all the beverages and food that your heart would desire. BP, always a solid choice. They do have 6 o'clocker lager, I should say, in can form here at Boston Pizza. I also want to add, it's not all about the lounge, because they have their kids' Halloween party coming up on Halloween from 3 to 6. There will be a Monster Bash, which includes face painting. And then there's Poke a Ghost. The first 20 kids, 12 and under, can poke a ghost and score a special treat bag. Hurry, because ghostly surprises await. And then they also have the Fizzy Worms slush for the kiddies. Raspberry puree with citrus slush, 7-Up, topped with whipped cream and strawberry sauce with a gummy worm on top. That is from 3 to 6 right here at Boston Pizza Westgate on Halloween. Dress up, have fun. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of candy available as well. Get your sugar rush. And then the parents, if the kids are enjoying that side of things for the Halloween party, can sneak over to the lounge and then maybe hit the golf sim a little bit, and then get a nice 6 o'clocker lager or something along those lines. All right, we have 10 more or 15 more minutes. We'll get to as many texts as we can. Nasty chat, what do you got?
You got to get DVD to move over.
Where are you? I know. I'm trying to keep him doing like this. I'm giving him the elbow here.
No, he's got to move more in.
Hernan wants you in
right now.
Well, don't break stuff, okay? Don't break stuff. Look, there he is. All right, we're standing back here.
That's good.
There. Oh, we figured it. Hello, Derek Van Diest from NHL.com. All right, we're going to get to some Oh, you got the shot. You worked on it. Very nice.
Well, I didn't. That was all Dusty. So.
All Dusty.
Can't hear DVD.
Say that again. I fixed it. Here, there he is.
Here we go.
I didn't want to hear from you.
I don't know anything about this soundboard or anything like that, so I don't know.
Maddie's made an appearance, not knowing he was on camera. That was my bad, and now we can't figure out DVD's mic. But you there, DVD?
I'm good. I'm here. Yes. I'm watching the Cowboys stumble and bumble their way through another game today.
Yeah, you guys are frenemies tonight.
Yeah,
we are frenemies. Who? Oh, yeah, you like the 49ers?
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We can talk again.
Well, you're going to have to. I'm going to force you to. You guys got to talk about the Oilers
49ers fan.
All right, DVD, we have gone over, and we've had texts that have come in that, people weren't overly impressed with the performance of the team, how they got the win. They're happy about the result and the 2 points. Edmonton now 4-4-1, but the way they got to that point, how would you sum it up from what you watched?
Well, it was a lethargic start, and they came out, and the slow starts are they're going to catch up. You can't always play from behind. You have to eventually lead the game, take charge of the game. They get off to a slow start. They're lucky they were only down a goal after the first period. Calvin Pickard, a great start. I thought he was fantastic. Played really well. Kept his team in the game, and that's what you want from your goalie. You want your goalie to keep you in the game until you kind of find your legs or until you're going to get going. It's a bad habit to get into, though. I don't know if they need to change their pregame routine, if they, the coach needs to have a better pregame speech or something. They got to come out playing hard, and they did that the other night. They did that the other night when they were here. They ran the Penguins out of the building, and that's you have to come out and start playing on the front foot, because these guys should have learned their lesson. You can't keep chasing everything. You can't keep chasing everything. Yes, this team is never out of a hockey game. They're never, saw it last year. They're never out of a series. but it taxes on you to chase the game all the time, to have to chase the game. So I thought, the second half of the game was obviously a lot better. But a win's a win. We're at a situation now where the team is so good, we can critique wins. That would have been unfathomable a few years ago. We would have just taken the win and left, right? Everyone would have been happy.
Right.
Now we're critiquing wins, and that tells you how good the team is right now because we can critique wins. Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Nan, so what do you got for DVD?
Yeah, DVD. Just looking ahead, I guess. Well, not looking ahead. I mean, like you said, it's nice to critique a win, but looking ahead tomorrow, the team went nuclear tonight to find a win, and they were good. Listen, there's a reason why every coach goes to 97 and 29. But I asked Cass the same question. Now I'm going to ask you. So for tomorrow, would you start with the 97 and 29 on the same line because of the way the game finished tonight, or would you go back to them both on separate lines and then adjust if the game is needed?
I think I'd go back to them on separate lines. I think in the second of a back-to-back, you're just going to have your legs are going to get a little heavier, and I think toward your legs, especially towards the game, and I think you really kind of have to spread out the ice time. You can't load up your lineup. I think you're going to see a lot more of the fourth line. You're going to see them roll the lines a bit more, and hopefully that they have enough gas in the tank by the third period. And if you're down in the third period, then you put them together. Right. And go chase the game. But again, they have to try and play from the front foot. They can't always chase the game. They have to go out, get out. Stuart Skinner's played really well. I thought he's been really good his last 3 or 4 starts. So he'll get the start tomorrow. He'll be fresh. He'll be good to go. So he's going to have to be sharp early if the Oilers start like they did again. But I think you split them up. I think other guys are starting to come around. I like Jeff Skinner's game. I think he's coming around. Obviously, Arvidsson he's playing his game. So I think other guys are starting to come around, and you need those guys to come around. So you need to even out the ice time. You can't just load up 1 or 2 lines and then go with that, especially in the second game of back-to-back. So I expect them to be on different lines tomorrow.
C-Run I'll read this one really quickly now. So C-Run in the nasty chat said the Oilers were really good at collapsing, picking up sticks, clearing rebounds last year in the playoffs when they got into trouble last year. C-Run's right, but it took them a while to get their defensive game sharpened up like that.
Yeah, I did.
I've said it. They're a little bit ahead of the curve compared to last year. They got 4 wins right now with an overtime loss, 9 points. That took them a while to get to last season. It took them a coach and an assistant coach that got fired. It took them losing to the San Jose Sharks, tying San Jose for 32nd in the league on November 9th, a month and a bit into the season. They're not there. They're ahead of that curve right now. It's not pretty right now, though.
No, once you get to 500, then you can start building on that. Then you can start building on getting above 500. Last year, it took them forever to get to 500, obviously with a 2-9-1 start. And then you needed a 16-game win streak to kind of really create that buffer and get over that 500 mark and create some games. So now that they're there, they can kind of focus on that. 2 of 3 wins on the road trip, what I think would be considered successful here. But they could win all 3. Let's be honest. I think they can win all 3. They're capable of doing that. But now that we got back to 500, we had the slow start. Now this is the starting line. You're back to even, Steven. Let's work from there. And I think that's what teams strive for. They strive to, when they're below that mark, they strive to get back to that mark and then build from there. When you're well above the mark, you just want to keep expanding it. And they got a lot of work to do to catch some teams in front of them. You look at, there's some really good teams out there. You look at the Winnipeg Jets; they're 8-0. You're gonna have, you want to catch them. You want to be the best team in the Western Conference. You want to have home ice through the playoffs.
Yep.
You're gonna have to catch the Winnipeg Jets. It's just, and so now you got to get there. You got to get some teams. Well, catch the Calgary Flames will slide back down to them. You got to catch the Jets. The Flames will slide.
Hey guys,
that's just my opinion.
I'm with you on that, but I was looking at Hernan, and I'm like, you just have to bring them up, right?
Hey, they're playing well. They're playing hard, and they're scoring goals. They're getting good goaltending.
Yeah,
and they're kind of they're taking that approach where everybody thinks we're going to be bad, and we're going to show everybody different. That's what they're doing right now. And guys, I want to get to this one from Coach Mike. He says, "Do you guys expect Pickard to get to start? About 25 to 30 games." I'll say this: if he continues to play the way he's playing, he's going to help Stuart Skinner out a lot in terms of the rest towards the end of the year, heading into the playoffs. Because for me, I don't think a coach can ever put a number on how much his backup will play depending on how the season goes. But if he's playing like he has in the first 3 game, guys, he's going to get a lot more starts than I think many would anticipate.
Yeah, I think they wanted 30 starts out of Calvin Pickard, 25 to 30. Yeah, I think so. I just think that they thought that towards the end, like, what are you going to play? 25 playoff games? How many playoff games did they play last year?
I think they
24. I think maybe I can't remember. Yeah. So then you have to account for those in the season. So if you're playing your goalie 50, 60 games, and then you're going to add another 20 some games to his schedule, because there's not going to be any alternating in the playoffs if Stewart plays well. So I think the 25 to 30, I think they want to do a 50-30 breakdown. I asked Stewart Skinner how many games he wanted. He said he wanted to play 82, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, no.
Obviously. He was obviously kidding. But I think that's the kind of the breakdown. Like every third game, if it all depends on Stewart Skinner. If he's playing really well and he's feeling it and he's on a heater, then maybe they'll keep him in there. But I just think they have bigger goals in mind than just, okay, let's not break down the regular season. I think you have to add those 20 games that they hope to play in the playoffs, because you want your starting goalie fresh for those games. You want him to be, you don't want him to hit the wall. You could have made an argument that he did that 2 years ago. You could make an argument that he kind of struggled a little bit. It's just a lot of hockey for one guy when you're playing over 100 games a year. So if the other guy plays 30, you're playing 70. It's a 70-30 split, in my opinion.
25 playoff games.
Just for reference, he played 23 last year. I can't remember how many Jack Campbell played. He played
5.
maybe 5.
5.
So that's 28 games that Skinner didn't get. So I think DVD's close, and especially if he's playing the way he is, he's going to get around 30 games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. So if he's playing well, there's no reason not to play him. So, yeah.
All right, couple more here, DVD, and then we will bid you adieu as you're watching your Cowboys take on Hernan's 49ers. Conroe, Texas, fittingly texting in, saying, Conroe, Texas, better effort, but still haven't gotten out of second gear. Podkolzin and Perry need to get going, or it's Phillip and Savoy time. Podkolzin has played good the last couple of games, and Perry, I think, has been one of the more consistent forwards for the entirety of the season. So I'd kind of push back on Conroe, Texas a bit there.
Well, I think you could make an argument that the fight by Corey Perry kind of woke up the team, right?
Yeah.
And Perry has such a knack. He's been around for so long. He could sense that they didn't have anything in the can. He could sense that they weren't getting going. So, I'm going to pick a fight and try and get everyone going. And it did. It got everyone going. It got everyone excited. I like Corey Perry's game right now. I think, that fourth line should be earning a bit more minutes. But Colson's going to take a while. But I don't mind his game either. I think it's too soon to start panicking and pulling the plug. I think you got to give guys time to kind of find their identity, find their role on this team. There's been a lot of changes. Find their role and then go with it. I just don't think you can just say, okay, it's not working 8 games into the season. Let's go somewhere else. I think let these guys find a groove. Let them find a rhythm. And like I said, it's tough to get over what happened last year. Like I said, I've said this many times. I lost a city provincial championship football game 30 years ago, and I still bring it up. Funny, I did a talk at O'Leary School the other day and saw my old football coach there. We were still talking about that provincial semifinal.
Get over it.
You got to get over it. But getting to Game 7 in the Stanley Cup final is a bit more serious. So, that's going to take a few more weeks to get over.
Really
but I can sense that they are getting. I think they come to a realization. Okay, guys, we got to focus on this season. Last season was last season, and the guys admitted. Darnell Nurse admitted it's easier to said than done, and Chris Knobloch alluded to it a couple of times, and everybody's different when they get over it. When you break up with somebody, everyone gets over it. Some people like Tom get over it after a shower, and some people take 4 months to get over it.
Don't tell them my
secret. I'm just saying, it takes everyone's a little different.
That's so. Anything else for your fellow Chilean here who's just bringing the heat?
No, go Niners. Let's go
Niners. Oh,
they're cheating already.
We do have a text for you.
For me.
Yeah, it's from Scalding Gord, who says, ask DVD how awesome it would be if Jerry came to the sidelines dressed as the Grim Reaper for Halloween and fired the coach. You would love that.
I would love him to fire the coach. I've been claiming this guy should have been fired 3 years ago. I don't want anyone to lose their jobs, but this guy's not getting it done, and I think the window of opportunity is closing because of this guy. We'll see what happens here. The Cowboys, they can't stop the run, can't stop the pass, can't run the football, and have only one guy.
They're winning right now.
Yeah, well, San Francisco's they've got a couple of good breaks. And San Francisco should have scored a touchdown. They're getting the breaks right now. Second half, I hope they come out and play well, but yeah, they're just getting a lot of breaks right now.
These are
You
the
hate
breaks.
Mike McCarthy.
I
Yeah,
do.
exactly.
I just don't think he's a good football coach. I just don't think I don't think he makes good decisions in those timely moments, those heat of the battle moments when you need a level head. You make good decisions. I just think he makes some terrible decisions.
Well, tonight, losing DVD, you might get your wish. You never know.
Well, it's 10-6 now. They're hanging around, so yeah.
So, Tom, when DVD leaves, just shift over to your right, and then you'll be perfectly framed, all right?
What if he doesn't move?
I'm leaving. I got to go. I got to get home. I got 15 minutes to get home and watch second half. So.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I'm about 18 minutes away.
No, I'm saying when he was ready to leave. I'm not saying he has to leave now.
I want him to leave now. After all. I'm just kidding.
He's mad about the shower comment.
Oh,
that's funny.
No.
All right. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. We'll talk to you later.
There's Derek Van Diest. He's fantastic. From NHL.com. Coming to hang out here at Boston Pizza Westgate. Always great to have friends and colleagues joining us, taking advantage of the great deals, great staff here at BP Westgate, and get a little spicy. 2 Latino heats going at it, 2 Chileans going back and forth. Their 2 football teams taking on each other in Santa Clara is where they play and where this game is being held, Sunday Night Football. Any final thoughts or things you want to talk about the game? Text us 780-218-9999 and then get it to the nasty chat. I do need to remind folks, because I saw somebody here, it was RBM who texted and said, I keep missing what place is holding that Halloween thing you keep mentioning. My own damn fault for missing it. I keep allowing myself to get distracted by my kids. Well, I'm glad you brought it up, RBM, because here at Boston Pizza Westgate, that is 170th Street and 90th Avenue on Halloween, October 31st, coming up in a couple of days. It is the kids' Halloween party at 3 o'clock to 6 p.m. And dress up in your favorite costume, dive into their Monster Bash, enjoy face painting, Halloween treats, and a colorful coloring contest. It's a frightfully fun time for everyone, and for the parents, there's booze. And for the kids, there's a... I had to say it. I mean...
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, you take it... RBM's like, my kids, they're distracting me. There's also a drink for the kids, not an alcoholic one, obviously, but a tasty one that's full of sugar and will certainly give them a bit of a rush. It is the Fizzy Worm Slush. Let me tell you about the Fizzy Worm Slush. Raspberry puree, citrus slush, 7-Up, topped with whipped cream and strawberry sauce with a gummy worm on top. So that's 3 to 6 p.m. on Halloween. It is the Halloween costume party here at Boston Pizza Westgate. All right, Hernan. See any other texts you want to hit on before we say goodnight?
We do have post-game audio if you want to get to one, maybe?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, what do you which one do you want
Leon,
to listen to?
We have
Let's just go with him.
Just go
Birthday
with Leon.
boy. Birthday boy. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. Because the other one was Coach and then Calvin Pickard. But yeah, definitely we can.
You pick.
Let's go with Leon Draisaitl. Here he is following tonight's game. Just give me a sec here. Sorry. Just breaking it up.
Oh, okay.
There we go. No, we're ready to go. Here's Leon Draisaitl following his 3-point night. The birthday boy on the Oil Stream post-game show.
Notice about the final push that you guys made.
Yeah, certainly not the first period we wanted. A little flat, not working. Working our legs, and so yeah, I think the second and third was much better, and obviously desperate in the third, and thought played a great period. Didn't give up much and controlled most of the game for second and third period, I thought, and thought we deserved to win.
What can you say about the feed that Matthias Ekholm gave you on that overtime goal? Yeah,
I mean, very rarely I've gotten a better one or an easier tap in than that one. That was all world. It's just an amazing player.
Does a night like tonight make a birthday even more special?
Yeah, I mean, all around great night, great win for us. Always nice to come back in a game like that and find your game and start the road trip off right and get back to work tomorrow.
And how important was Calvin Pickard to tonight's win?
Yeah, he was great. Pixie always gives us a chance to win and made great stops when we needed him. yeah, he was terrific.
Okay,
Boys are on a
Pixie.
heater. They're on a heater, Tommy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sure. We'll give it to them. Pixie, as he called them, if you're wondering how many saves Pixie made, 24 on 26 shots. A couple of really sharp ones, especially when they weren't playing particularly good in that first period, where, like Draisaitl said, they were sloppy. Pickard held the fort for them. And steady goaltending from Calvin Pickard ever since he got the call after Jack Campbell's demise last season. The birthday boy, the player of the game, brought to you by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite. Hernan pointed out earlier, Draisaitl, 2 goals, 1 assist, +1, 21-10 time on ice. He had 7 shots, 1 block shot, 38.1% on the dot as he celebrated his birthday. Hernan, what do you got?
Yeah, just give an update on the schedule for tomorrow, Tommy. Of course, the Nielsen shows 6 to 9, 9 to 11. We'll have the draft of scary things. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I got to get my prep going for that.
And then, of course, Lock Shop, Oil Stream, and then EST Afternoons. And then Reed will be on with J Milne from 3 to 4. And then Tommy and I and Cass will jump on from 4 to 5. And then Reed will return with J Milne and the Cube from 5 to 6. So a full day of programming here on the station. Keep it locked on EST as the Oilers back in action tomorrow. A nice 5 o'clock. You're getting home from work, making supper. You can watch the first period and hopefully an Oilers win. But I just don't want to hear that cannon tomorrow, Tommy. So if the boys can find a way,
annoying.
If the Oilers can find a way and string some wins together here and 3 wins in a row going into Nashville, that would be great for Edmonton to get kind of back into the fight here. It's early. We all know that. We all know this team eventually will find their groove in a few of their players. So just gotta keep going and see what happens tomorrow down in Columbus.
Couple of texts to wrap things up. DJC says the Perry stat line will show he was on the player's bench for 49 minutes tonight. Whether he fights or not, he's on the player's bench for 49 minutes, at least with the fight. He can say that he was not on the player's bench for 49, but for 44. Having a scrap will give the team some momentum, and I'd much rather see it be Perry than any of the top 6. Good reply, DJC. Appreciate that very much. Another one on Perry coming in from Reno. Reno says Perry wants another cup and will do anything to get the team there. And then the team coming out sluggish, as we were talking about. Joelle says they need a pump-up song. She can help. She has some recommendations. All right, Hernan, show tonight. That was a lot of fun. A big thank you to the staff here at Boston Pizza Westgate, Curtis, Tony, Mareja, who is our model for our tweet that we put out. We begin joining the fine folks here at BP Westgate a couple times each month. Catch us at Hudson's as well. We'll have the announcements for those dates when we're back at Hudson's for games. We're right back here, Boston Pizza Westgate, tomorrow night for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Big thank you to Derek Van Diest from NHL.com. Huge thank you to everybody who watched and listened. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. We appreciate it if you watch this on YouTube. To everybody who listened on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Apple Music, Edmonton, SportsTalk.com's online stream, and then the podcast later on. We appreciate you. Have a great night. For Hernan, I'm Tom saying ciao, ciao.